how sensory processing, how can that affect eating?
Yes, well, quite a lot.
It's a big thing, isn't it? Really, there's so many there's so many sensory factors in eating. It's such as it's probably one of the most sensory. It involves a lot of one of the activities that we do, with really sensory activities that we do. So it's not just about the taste or the texture of the food. It's look, and we were talking before about the
smell,
foods that are white and no colour to them. Often are the foods that the kids like. So the beige foods.
Commercial things that look the same are going to taste the same, have the same mouthfeel each and every time.
And also the temperature, like no chicken's always hot, you can't have cold. You didn't like that.
Yes.
The texture of food is a big thing as well. Yes, what is the smell and how it feels in your mouth, or how it feels on your hands when you pick it up, coordinating your movement and using the proprioception from your hands to manipulate the cutlery. And it's such a, it's sitting on the chair. And coping with the noise in the meal times are often big social things with lots of people talking. So there's so much happening.
And I think that's one of the things I've talking to some of the other parents I've been working with is is maybe it's okay if their child takes their book and goes and sits over here at dinner time rather than sitting at the table and having those expectations, because I know some parents have found that they will actually eat if they take their headphones and their book and go over there, instead of the expectation of, well, I've got to sit with the big family and it's noisy and there's people doing things I don't like and I have to hear someone else chewing and I have to look at someone else's mouth and and taking some of that away has been successful for some people. And it's like a society thing. We sort of go, right, well, you need to do it like this, but maybe you don't.
One of my children has to eat on her own, and she has her headphones and her iPad. She's listening to a music or a video or something, and she eats beautifully with that. If she's at the table with us, she's mucking with her fork and she's playing in her water, and it's too much, and she doesn't eat. Virtually have to feed her. She's 20, but if she's on her own and doing her thing, and she eats fine.
That's wonderful that you've found a strategy. Well, she's found a strategy that helps, and it's
people say, "Oh, she's not eating with her." No, she's not. It doesn't work for her.
But what's the goal? The goal is for her to eat and excellent and good nutrition, and you found a way. So that's just brilliant. I'm going to do a plug. We've got a couple of online resources on our website, on the Child Development Service website. So one of them is called Nutrition Matters, and that was written by, they're both written by a couple of dietitians and occupational therapists from our service. Nutrition Matters is looking at the child's diet and whether they're getting all the vitamins and minerals that they need, and gives some ideas about how to expand a child's diet. And the other one that we have is and it's gone. Creating more positive meal times is that one. Yeah. Have you seen them? Because they're really good resources.
I feel like I've seen the positive meal times, and I think I read that quite some time ago.
That one's all more about sensory processing and more about like what you can do to make meal times less stressful for the child and your family. So they are available through the Child Development Service and resources for parents.
And what I would also say, because at Social Speaking we also do a bit of work in schools, and sometimes I've found with schools being, they feel like they're trying to be helpful, and they might say, well, this child brings chocolate to school every day, so no, that's not good for their nutritional needs, or they need to bring a sandwich. And then, the parent made them a sandwich and they came in with a sandwich and then they ate nothing for the whole day. So, supporting parents, I think, to advocate with schools, to help schools to understand that it's okay, this is what, it's better that my child has something to eat rather than they bring something that you consider to be sort of acceptable, I guess.
It's such a stressful thing for parents though, isn't it? It's, as a parent, you want your child to have a good rounded diet. It's just incredibly stressful. I think if you're worried that your child's not getting what they need from their food, arrange your GP. Blood tests can be horrible, can't they? But if that's okay for your child getting one of those, to work out whether they're missing anything from their diet.
It's quite stressful because my daughter's very anxious, so she won't eat breakfast before school, and she won't eat at school, so she's not eating till 3:30.
And I think that's quite common from what I've heard from parents.
Deal with everything else. So lately the school have sort of been talking about, is she allowed a chocolate milk at her desk?
Yes.
With a straw.
The school asked you?
No, I suggested it was okay that the student had that.
Absolutely.
Because it's like at least something
Absolutely.
going into her system.
She's getting some energy throughout the day.
My son doesn't eat at school either because of the things he does eat. He's worried that kids are going to say, why have you just got crackers and chips and pretzels and things? Because he goes to a school that provides the school lunch, and it's things like bolognese and meatballs and cheesy pastas and things. He doesn't eat that kind of stuff. I know this. So he refuses to eat at school because he's worried about what other people are going to say.
Yes.
And
but he does have a good breakfast, and he has a chocolate milk and toast. Yeah. And then and after school he's ravenous. It's not about not wanting to eat, but he's worried about what other people are going to say about what he is eating.
Yes. And that's not, I think, for some of the teens that can be fairly common. And I worked with a young man, and he struggled to eat during the school day, and in the end what we found out worked for him was that he would have a packet of, it was like those the biscuits with the hundreds and thousands top on them. He would have a packet of those in his pocket, and what he would do was he would just eat some when he was sort of walking across from here to here sort of thing, and the school knew that he was allowed to do that, and that was just what he did. So he sort of got a little bit of some nutrients in, and it was what he liked because that was important, but it was kind of something, and it was a way that was sort of other people didn't really notice.
Even if it is just sugar, at least it's energy, you know.
Absolutely. My daughter's diet is shocking. I'm really embarrassed about what goes in her packed lunchbox, but I know that she's going to eat it, and I think that's it's important as parents to look at not just one meal at a time, but think about the 24 hours, 48 hours, and what is your child taking on during that time period. So I know that when she comes home from school, she's going to have a good dinner or afternoon tea. She's going to eat some things there. But it's really stressful. As our parents, it's one of our big main jobs.
We have both my kids had aversion to stickers, and kids have stickers all over their lunchboxes. And fruit has stickers on it, and if they see a sticker, they're suddenly nauseous, they're gagging, they can't eat. Wow. So that's been quite a hard thing to negotiate. And sort of because you can control it at home. I can make sure the stickers are off all the fruit and stuff, but then they sit down at lunchtime and they're supposed to sit in a group with these kids, and the other kids have stickers all over their lunches.
That's hard.
And it can be the same with like smell, like you've got to sit next to someone and they've got a banana and you really dislike this and it makes you want to gag, but you don't feel like eating. So any of those kind of aversive responses that children have. And trying to explain that to a teacher or someone else, like if it's a duty teacher, it's not their normal teacher that knows them. Yes.
I can't eat because someone over there has a sticker on their lunchbox. It's quite hard, especially for a small child, to advocate for themselves. Like
totally. And that's And I know sometimes parents find it hard even advocating with the school as well. And that concept I think you were saying about that. As a parent, you're the expert in your child, but I know sometimes parents feed back to me that when they go to school, it may not feel like that.
And you sometimes, I've been told, you can't pack that in his lunch.
Yes.
And when he was younger, well,
this is what he will eat.
I've got bigger fish to fry than worrying about food.
It must be hard for teachers though, hey? Because as a parent, you're covering one or a few kids with sensory processing needs, but have a whole class who've got probably a range of diverse sensory processing processes. It must be really hard. It must be tricky.
We had on the newsletter, our lunches are healthy and rubbish free.
Yes. And it's understanding, and I think schools are starting to get that, the idea of the boy with the chocolate, and the school then understood that actually he needed to bring the chocolate. That was at least something that he was eating.
Yeah,
He was getting some calories in. That was actually helpful for him for his day. So, you know, the same with the chocolate milk. She's getting some calories in. That's going to be helpful for her regulation, being able to manage herself throughout the school day. Because it's, and so if we can find something your son might feel maybe even confident eating, snacking, walking across to a class.
For a
or
while
something.
he was okay with his pretzels because pretzels was part of the provided lunch.
Right.
So it was seen as healthy. I thought, I can eat my pretzels because other kids have pretzels. But that has stopped now too. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
But he goes, I don't want lunch. Okay.
And it's,
You know,
it's really
and
hard.
I'm not going to force it because
No.
packing food, he's not going to eat it. So it's going to get wasted.
Yep.
Yeah, because you know what lunch is like at the end of the day from the lunchbox.
Yes, you can't reuse that.
School smell, and it's just not, and he won't touch it, so. Yeah.
Sometimes packed lunches boxes are just vessels, aren't they, really, for taking the food to school and then bringing it home again.
We do the packed meal in the car as soon as she gets out of the school gate, because she's in and she will eat in the car, because it's like, and she might be screaming or throwing food, but that's when the food goes out, and it's like,
And often that's a little bit of sort of sensory regulation as well with, you know, so she's obviously getting, you know, she needs to eat for those calories too, but sometimes for children, you know, when they leave school, having something to chew, having something to put in their mouth can be, even if they've eaten their lunch at school, that transition time, if they're going in a car, can be quite calming to have something to chew or something to crunch or...
I will sometimes take him something when I pick him up after school.
Yes.
It's a huge difference.
Yeah.
They're just hungry, aren't they?
Yeah.
So they do. Yeah.